Hello everybody and welcome to another fun floral planter tutorial. So we are going to be painting these two really cute gray planters with beautiful wildflowers sprouting out of them. If you're interested in the materials that I use, they're linked in the description as always. So let's get started. We're first going to start off with our planters. You can see here that I sketched mine out with pencil. You're welcome to do that or just kind of freehand it, but I am using or creating right now sort of a gray, black, and a little bit of blue combination. And we are just going to fill in our planters. So today I am using 100% cotton paper. So this is going to allow me to really, or provide me with the time that I need to really get all of the shading of my planters right. If you don't have cotton paper, that's totally okay. I only used non-cotton paper exclusively for the first basically 2 years of this channel. So it can definitely be done really, really well. You just need to get to know your paper and know its tendencies, and then you can adjust accordingly. So I want this to be sort of a tin planter or galvanized steel. So I'm just lifting off some of the paint in the center here because I do want it to be a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to switch paint brushes. Just to a smaller one. This is a size 1 by Grumbacher. And I'm just adding black at the bottom here. And all I did is I mixed that black in with our original combination of colors, and I'm just painting it along the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of blue in there. And I'm also going to add blue streaks along the side here and along the other side as well. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and we're just going to move on to our second pot. So I'm going to do basically the first thing, or the same thing that I did with the first one. This time I'm kind of watering down that pigment a little bit more so I don't have to lift off as much paint. Now you're going to see me sort of bouncing back and forth between the two pots here as one dries. I'm going to be working on both. But this pot is going to be a little bit more blotchier than this one. So I'm just adding the shadows on along the bottom, along the sides here. And I'm quickly going to move back to this one. And I'm going to just add the same shadow in the same places that we did the first time around. You're also welcome to add a shadow coming from the bottom of both pots. So I'm going to have my sun coming from the left, so the shadow is just coming to the right. Okay, so once you're happy with your flower pots, we're going to go ahead and create the beautiful foliage on top. So you're just going to grab your green watercolor this time, and I don't really have the exact shade of green that I'm looking for, so I'm just mixing a bunch of different greens together and some black and such, just to create sort of what I'm looking for here. And we are going to be adding quite a bit of darker green shading later on, so just keep that in mind. Don't make your first layer too dark. So what I'm going to do is just, actually, it'll be easier if you flip your piece of paper over. And you want to dot on your green watercolor just along the very, very edge and top of your flower pots. Try to make the dots as distinct as you can so that they're not too connected and too blotchy. And I'm just having some of my dots spilling over on one side of my pot. And I'm also going to have some green foliage coming upwards. I'm going to paint some tulips. Now, in between our little dots, we want to start painting tiny, tiny little flowers just peeking through. So I'm using blue watercolor here to paint my first few flowers, but you can choose whatever watercolors you want. So you can mix it up, you can just choose one. I'm sure I'll add some red and pink flowers as well. But I did want to choose the blue first because I wanted to go over some of the areas that I already painted green, and because blue is much more overpowering than, for example, red, it's easier to go over the green. So I'm just going over to this flower pot as well and just doing the same. I'm just painting my tulips here as well. So I'm just going to continue my dotting, and as I move upwards, I want to make that dotting a little bit more and more spread out than the first layer that we dotted on. And this is because the flowers start to become sparser. You can even try and make some of the dots smaller themselves, and that will also contribute to spacing them out a lot more. So I'm also painting on some little shoots going off our flower pot here, just to add some more dimension and variety. Don't forget to keep adding beautiful, colorful flowers coming out of wherever you want. So now I'm just going ahead and adding some magenta colored flowers. Now what I think is going to add a nice touch is just adding some black in the very center of all of your flowers. And here we're just starting to add the shading to all of our foliage in general. This is going to really make the entire bouquet of flowers pop, or at least that's the intention. So take quite pigmented black and just dab a dot in the center or the bottom of every little flower that you've painted, if you'd like. And then the next thing I'm going to do is mix black with green to create a very, very dark green. And I'm just going to go over the bottom portions of all of the green foliage that we painted earlier. And this on its own is really going to start to make the entire thing pop, because you're adding shading to the existing green. And if your green is still wet, then it'll really, really nicely blend in and create this beautiful foliage gradient, but it's not necessary for it to be wet. Mine has basically dried completely, but that's okay. And you can choose to go over whichever details you want. So here I'm defining the tulip stems a little bit more. And you can see how nice that contrast is with the lighter green in the background. And you want to try and leave as little white space in between those as possible, so you can fill it in with the darker green, or go over it with lighter green if you like. If you felt that you didn't have enough, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay, and once you're happy with your array of colors, you're all finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, check out some of my previous videos, and I'll see you in the next one.